broke. We have $2.2 billion more dollars in this budget than the last budget, and this budget spends more money. Now, it does not bond as much, which in the long run is going to hurt us because we're buying the projects, but we're not paying for them down the road. But there is a lot of money that's going to new projects. When I look at the cuts, if you look at all the education cuts together and you add in local government, you're looking at about $1.23 billion in cuts. Then I look at new spending in the budget, and I add in all not even all the spending, just the big spending that's happening. The new Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and this is not the tax cuts, but the spending. Changes in Medicaid, three major new contracts in Medicaid that are being let, and you look at what's happening from the raid from the transportation, from the general fund into the transportation fund, and you come up with about $1.6 billion in new spending. So I don't know how to say this any other way, but there are certain things that the majority party likes, and there are certain things the majority party doesn't like. Education, including tech colleges, K-12, and higher education, is on the doesn't like list, and it doesn't have to be on the doesn't like list, because there is enough money to go around. Now, we're not going to be able to buy a big new program, and we're not going to be able to spend in big new contracts, and we're not going to be able to take a lot of cash and pay for big road projects in southeast Wisconsin that we can't afford right now. But we don't have to do what we're doing in this budget. This hurt does not have to happen. And it, ladies and gentlemen, is going to have long-term consequences. All over my district, schools are hurting. We're laying off teachers. We're eliminating programs. And outside of the city of Eau Claire, we're eliminating what drives the economy outside of the city of Eau Claire, which is agriculture. For example, in Alma Center, the ag program is completely eliminated. As near as I can tell, 3, maybe 4 dozen programs in this state are looking at serious cuts or elimination in ag education. We're not going to lose the things we're testing for. We're not going to lose mathematics. We're not going to lose reading. We're probably not going to lose science. But we are going to lose agriculture. And that's why 37 different ag business groups, all of whom we work with, signed on to a letter to the chairman of the Assembly Ag Committee and said, please, let's talk about ag education. A couple years ago, I was involved in forming an Ag Ed Council to encourage the pipeline of new workers in agriculture. Right now, that pipeline has a great big block in the middle of it because these schools do not have the resources to do what we need them to do in the business community. And this does not have to happen. We have money. We had $1.5 billion in new estimates coming into this year in January. In May, we had new revenue estimates of $636 million. Some of that was in this year, some of it's in the coming year, but the money is there. It's a question of choices. What is our priority? And if we're going to compete in the 21st century in the knowledge economy, and we're going to compete right next door with Minneapolis and the Twin Cities area in Minnesota, we've got to have an educated workforce. It's in everyone's best interest to do that. This does not have to happen, and we're going to have long-term consequences because of the decisions that were made last week.